Welcome to the TBG Podcast. So what you're about to listen to is our first ever podcast. And at the time of his recording, we did not yet have our website live and we did not have any shirts available. However, now that we're uploading it, we do have those available. So I would invite you to go over to ToBeGotten.com and take a look. You'll find the shirt I'm wearing and some others as well. For those of you who are watching, you can see this. For those who are listening, I'll describe it. So on the left chest, there is our logo with TBG underneath. And over on the right sleeve is a QR code. Now, we'll talk a bit more about the QR codes at the end of the podcast, but essentially that is a way to kind of share. So if you have, for example, a shirt with a design that depicts some of the concepts of faith, you'll be able to send people to the page with the QR code that talks about faith. So there will be study materials there, there will be podcasts there, and there will be shirts that have designs having to do with faith. So anyways, that's kind of the brief of it. Let's go ahead and get into this podcast, and I hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to the TBG Podcast, where we talk about identity, who we are, and who we're meant to be. Today we're going to be talking about ToBeGotten, or TBG, who we are, what we do, and why we're doing what we're doing. And I am Seth. I am a husband, a father, and an entrepreneur. And with me is my wife.
Hello, I'm Katie, and I am a wife, a mother, and a marriage and family therapist in training.
I'm just Kai.
Just Kai. Okay. All right. So first of all, we want to go through a little bit of kind of the backstory of how we got to where we are now. So with that, how did this all come about?
Pretty much as any other good business idea, yes. Came from Instagram as we were doom scrolling, or I was. And so, as you know, if you send a video, then Instagram's going to send you a bunch more videos that are just like that one video. And so I sent it to Katie, and then my Instagram became full of like t-shirt companies and like how you can make them and things like that. And so it's kind of what gave us the idea. At first, it was just supposed to be like Katie and I designing t-shirts, but then Seth came along, helped us out, I guess.
Yeah, so like, Kai, I remember that video that you sent me and being like, here's a really good way that we could make money and create t-shirts that are cool that we'd actually want to wear instead of, spending hours and hours looking for shirts that we liked and not finding anything that we liked. And so we kind of just dreamed about it. We talked about it a lot. And we created we still have our massive Pinterest boards of inspiration and designs. And neither of us have any idea how to run a business or how to even get started on a business. And so, and I don't know how long it was that we were sitting on this idea even. Until
probably a year.
At least, yeah.
At least.
And so, but then when I met Seth and I don't even know. I don't even remember when we clued you in on the process. But eventually you were included in the idea, and you took the idea and actually made a business, I guess, out of it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
We're
still on the runway.
Yeah.
Trying
to get off the ground.
Yeah, we're trying to get
into the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that God has really been working in each of our lives and bringing us to this very moment where we're sitting here and doing this. And I know for certain that God brought you into my life. And I think for multiple reasons, but also even just for this business, like if this is what Kai and I have been called to do, we needed you to get to the point that we're at, because let's be real.
We need help.
We had no idea how to get going, how to create the things and
Yeah.
a website.
No. Yeah, I think it was when you guys were dating, cause like I remember sitting at the counter while you guys were making breakfast, but we were like telling him the ideas, and then he was like telling us the like logistics, and we were just like, what?
That's right. Yeah, I remember telling the idea, and then you were like, oh well, if you want to really do this thing, you need to do this, and then you need to do that, you need to do this, and I remember just looking at Kai and being like, we are not doing that. So though, I think it was in that moment that we decided we'll just make Seth do it.
Oh yeah.
Make me do it?
Lead him into the idea that he's going to volunteer. Sounds bad.
Yeah, well, I had previously tried to start a t-shirt company as well, but did not have near the motivation
Or
reason, I guess.
Well, in the whole, I think we're more than just a t-shirt business, though.
Oh, yes.
So we'll get into all that, though, right?
Yeah, and I think you went over it pretty good, but the whole thing was you guys didn't like the shirts available, and you're like, these shirts are not cool. We're gonna make cool shirts.
Yeah.
That are not cheesy.
But also, along with those shirts, it's not just a shirt. It's a shirt that is a artistic representation of a message that we find in the Bible, and it's supposed to be a conversation starter. I know a lot of people, they'll get, tattoos to start a conversation with someone. Well, here's something a little less permanent that will still spark some conversation. So that's where then
you can change it out. You can put on a different shirt with a different message.
Right. Yes. And that's where then our whole tagline or whatever is, the message is free, but the t-shirt isn't.
Yeah.
Kind of came along and even motivated us to be sitting here doing a podcast.
Well, the podcast largely came about because it simplified our content creation process. At least theoretically. Because instead of recording a bunch of little short things that does this and does this and does this or whatever, we'll do a podcast and hit all of the marks at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of a little bit of the backstory and the history. And something that we're really trying to hit with all of this. So if we had a shtick or a thing, it would be identity, and that's why in the beginning I said that we're ToBeGotten. We talk about identity, and the reason for that is because the world really has a big identity problem right now, kind of an identity crisis. Everyone is saying, oh, I'm Republican, I'm Democrat, I'm trans, I'm bi, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a furry, I'm whatever. And there's a lot of identities out there that people are following to try to fill, I think, the big question that mankind has, so to speak, of who are we, why are we here, what is going on, and what is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And obviously, as Bible-believing Christians, we think we know the answer. But it's not because we know the answer, it's because we believe that we were told the answer, given the blueprint, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So, with that, because we have all of those answers that we believe are given to us in the Bible, we believe that our identity is found in Christ, is found in God, the one who created us. Just as if you were to look at a random truck driving down the road, you'll see the emblem on it that says Ford or Chevy or whatever. And you can look at that emblem, assuming no one has switched it out, because people do that from sometimes. Anyways, you can look at that emblem and you know the identity of the truck. And then if you want to know, okay, well, what are the specifications for this truck, or how was it designed, you go to the manufacturer. The manufacturer has a blueprint for how they designed the truck. And so instead of going to your neighbor Ted or Bob and being like, what is a Ford truck and how did they design it, you're going to go to Ford and be like, okay, what are your specifications? What is the blueprint? What did you design this truck for? So in the same way, we go to the Bible, where I believe that God has a blueprint for who we are supposed to be and who he designed us to be.
Yeah, all of that kind of made me think of, you know how people joke of like, I wish that kids came with a manual. Today, as I was sewing and my thread kept snapping, I was like, there has to be something wrong here. So I looked up on the manual, right, for my specific sewing machine and found that I was threading it wrong and was contributing to the snapping of the string. Now, why is that relevant? Well, the Bible is our life manual. And so when we are questioning who we are or what we're supposed to be doing in our life, we have that manual to turn to, or that blueprint or whatever, right? So we can go back to our manufacturer and read, who are we and what are we supposed to be doing with our life? And so, yeah, it's been really great to have that as a resource.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you were saying, the Bible is our blueprint for life. There is a verse that states that in no uncertain terms. It is 2 Peter 1, verses 3 and 4. According as his divine power hath given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness, through the knowledge of him that has called us to glory and virtue, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. So it literally says it right there. We have been given all things that pertain unto life.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you need to know is found in the Bible.
Yep. And so that's what really kind of, I guess, maybe sets us apart, one could say, or what makes us different is we're going to be discussing some of those identity crisis situations and how if we shift and reframe and look to Scripture, we will see that our identity is in Christ and maybe clear up some of those murky waters that a lot of people and, you know, even myself was in.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to come. Like even in that verse, I think it's probably a pretty good theme verse. That's not the right words.
We'll accept it.
Theme verse. That's our verse. Because there's a lot just packed into those two verses about all kinds of topics, both salvational and not, and things that I think may be potentially vital for salvation. So kind of in the middle. Anyways, all right. So how did we get to this place, as in believing some of the things that we're coming to believe from the Bible? What are our life stories or our journeys to get here?
Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna go first. To be honest, I feel like I'm still on that journey, you know. But growing up, I was adopted. Fun fact. And so, I think just starting there is like adoption is like when you're adopted, you question everything. You question your adoptive parents. You question your biological parents, like why things played out the way they did, and or just like who you were, you know. And so, kind of weird, but in elementary school, I went to public school first, and so it wasn't that bad. Like we were all like kindergartners, fourth graders, you know. But I transitioned to middle school, and that's where like people really pointed out that I was Asian and that I was like I don't know, there were other Asians. There's like probably 5 of us in a school of white kids. And so it was just very like prominent that I was Asian, that I was different and things like that. And so that's kind of where I had a lot of like, I don't know, growth, I guess, looking back. I just see like God working and just, I don't know, putting together pieces. And then recently, I put a lot of my trust and my faith into my close people. I have like 3 close friends and then my family. And so those are my people. And so if it gets shaky or it gets a little stormy within the relationship, then I'm like, uh-oh, like my life is over. And Katie's had to hear about it. But I've just had to learn that like I can't put my trust and my security and like all this weight onto a person to fulfill my needs. And that has to come from God. And if I continue to do that, it's going to eventually lead me down the path of destruction. So, but yeah, that's something that I've been really learning. It's just riding the waves, letting it crash me into the rock of ages. And yeah, that's my life.
Yeah, so for myself, you know, I was raised Christian and spent a lot of time at Kai's house because
They're cousins, by the way.
Yeah, we're cousins, but we also say we're sisters because she's adopted, so she might as well just be my sister.
Thanks, homie.
It's all good. So yeah, like I grew up. I remember at one point when I was really little, like, I don't know, 11 or 12, telling my mom, like, I don't understand why people don't know who they are. Like, I know who I am. Little did I know that, like, puberty was going to come and really mess that up. And so I feel like I kind of lost myself in a sense that I really put my identity into other people. And one of those people that I put my identity in was a guy. And that relationship, you know, eventually we got married and kind of everything revolved around this person. So if he wasn't, you know, in a good space, then I wasn't in a good space. And yeah, when I found out that he was having affairs, which this isn't Seth, by the way.
Little PSA.
Little PSA. Yeah, so when I found out that my ex-husband was having affairs, that really shook everything that I believed and knew to be true about myself. And I think that's probably a pretty universal experience to someone who's been betrayed, is I internalized that as I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not whatever. Like, insert all the things. And at this point in time, like, even though I had been raised Christian, I wasn't really walking with the Lord in any serious capacity. And so when the proposal from my ex-husband was, you know, let's be polyamorous, let's have the affair partner move into our house, and then you won't be so needy because you'll have a friend to hang out with. The really devastating part of it is, since my identity was so wrapped up in this person, I actually spent time and weighed that as an option. And really sat with, is this a direction that I want my life to go or not? And it was kind of through that I realized, I mean, we all have choices, right? Choice theory is a thing. And so I could have chose that. I could have chosen to walk that path. I could have chosen to explore that further. But I knew that it wasn't authentic to who I was, and that it wasn't who God was calling me to be, even though I wasn't having that really close relationship with God at that point in time. And I remember feeling like that I was weighing like both worlds in my hands, where I could see this option of, you know, becoming polyamorous or whatever that would be, or staying true to God and whatever that looked like. I didn't really know what that looked like, but I knew that was the authentic choice for who I am. And it was within a week when I finally really made a decision and kind of handed everything over to God and said, okay, you know, I'm choosing you wherever this leads, even if that means my marriage falls apart. And it was within a week's time that, you know, my ex-husband came to me and was just like, well, I want to take a 6-month break and I'm going to move out, but we're going to just keep you on retainer. And then it's like, no, if we're doing that, we're getting a divorce. And within like another 2 weeks, the divorce was not only the papers filed, but also signed and done. And so everything moved really quickly through that. And in that period of time, I was really shattered. I didn't really know who I was anymore, but I knew that God was really important to me and I needed to get back to basics. And so because of the people who surrounded me, like this lovely lady Ruth, she came and I cried on her shoulder. She gave me food and she, pointed me to who Jesus is. And I remember her holding me and saying, like, Katie, you're radically righteous and fully forgiven and lavishly loved by your Creator. And it was those things that I just constantly kind of repeated to myself. I had it posted, the Bible verses posted in my mirror.
I think some of those things are still posted.
Some of those things are still posted. Yeah, and that is really where God met me and God picked me up. And that's where I came to fully surrender my life to Christ. And not just be like, yeah, I'm a Christian, but it's like, I love Jesus. Because I realized how painful it was for Jesus to see me betraying him and what it felt like to be betrayed. And so that's what's gotten me here. So praise God.
Where is here? That's okay. I'm not completely seriously asking that question because here is a very big topic.
I'm on this journey next to you.
Yeah. Maybe we should give a little bit of a preview as to where here is, because I don't think we've talked about it yet. A lot of the things that we're going to be talking about in this podcast are potentially going to be shocking or controversial. And in large part, it's due to the fact that in our journey, both separately, that brought us together, and then together, as we've continued on, we have studied the Bible and found things in the Bible that are in opposition to tradition.
Yes.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of those kinds of things that we're going to be talking about. Don't write us off yet, though, because I promise, at least as far as we can tell, the things that we're coming to believe are in the Bible and the Bible only.
And I think with that, I gotta say, like, we're learning. We're on a journey.
We're on a journey. And we could be wrong about some stuff.
Right. And I think all three of us, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I would hope that we're all very open.
Yeah.
So if you listen to something we say and you can show us from the Bible and the Bible only, I think we're open.
Yeah.
We're wanting to learn what the Bible has to say, not what tradition, what man. What makes you feel good? We don't care what makes you feel good. We want to know what the Bible says.
Yeah. Going a little Ben Shapiro on us there. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, so my journey, I man, there's a lot there. I've never really questioned who I was. I've always kind of been fairly confident and or stubborn. Strong-willed is what my mother calls me. Anyways, kind of as I was growing up, I think somewhere in my teen years, I was introduced somehow to a book called Tender Warrior by Stu Weber. And it's an amazing book. And in that book, he talks about masculinity and where it comes from and what it looks like. And he proposes this idea that obviously masculinity comes from the Bible, because we should look at, like we were saying, the manufacturer specifications. It's like, well, the Creator created man, so therefore we should look at the materials that the Creator has given us to see what a man is supposed to be. And so from that, he gives this idea that a man is made up of 4 pillars, those pillars being king, warrior, mentor, and friend. And each of those 4 pillars have to be in equal balance in order for the man to be complete. And so I read this book a few times through, and it really resonated with me. And it was something that I wanted to be. I wanted to be a godly, masculine man. I wanted to have those parts: the king, the warrior, the mentor, the friend. Anyways, so I had this idea that I wanted to study out that concept of the 4 pillars in the Bible, because I figured, okay, if this concept is indeed correct, then I'm going to find all 4 pillars in the Bible, and this is going to be a concept that's a thing. And so I started studying, and I specifically was like, okay, I'm going to start with king, and I'm going to look up every single instance of king in the Bible. So I started way back in Genesis, and very quickly I ran into priest. And I'm like, okay, there's priest, so a king is also a priest. Okay, that makes sense. And then I kept going, and I ran into creator and other things. And eventually, as I did more and more study, I came to realize that the idea of the 4 pillars is not complete. Rather, instead of being 4 pillars, there's many, many, many pillars. Mm-hmm. There's creator, there's priest, there's wise men, there's teacher, it just goes on and on. All of these pillars can be found in the Bible, and the central concept around all of them is king. And so with that, I decided that I was going to step into this identity, and that I was going to identify myself as a king under the King of Kings. I'm a king in training underneath the King of Kings. And so that study has led me to exactly where I am today. It led me to my wife through study of, okay, as a masculine man, how am I to relate to and interact with young women, especially as I was looking for a partner. And that study led me into, I probably won't go into it here, but another study that very directly led to my beautiful wife. Anyways, all of that is to say, that's kind of my backstory. Is study from the Bible has led me to my wife, and then together we have continued to grow and learn many things that has brought us here, where we feel like we do have a message, so to speak, that God has given us that needs to be shared. And ToBeGotten is kind of the engine to do that. So, we touched on it earlier.
There has been some resistance on our part to get to the sharing.
Yes, sharing is a hard thing.
Yeah.
Largely because of all that controversial stuff that we were talking about.
Right.
So, yeah. And so with that, kind of the business model, so to speak, kind of goes back to that tagline, the message is free, but the t-shirt isn't. The t-shirt not being free is the engine that helps us continue to be able to share this, because it is a lot of work. There's lots of investment in time and value behind it, which that can be another topic too. But yeah, so that's kind of how we have gotten here in starting this whole business, starting to talk about the things that we believe. ToBeGotten. What is ToBeGotten? And what is TBG?
Right. So ToBeGotten is our
business name.
And we, as a group, refer to it as TBG, which is just, the letters in ToBeGotten. And ToBeGotten stands for to be gotten by God, and also to be begotten by God, or of God. That we are in the lineage of Christ. And I think that pretty much really sums it up.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth to that. You were mentioning the lineage and being begotten. That verse in 2 Peter, right? 2 Peter 1? Yeah, 2 Peter 1, 3 and 4, where it mentions the, what's the word there? Divine nature. That's what it is. It says divine nature. That's the English translation in the King James. If you look up the original word, the meaning is lineal descent, which is literally just you were adopted, right? that's kind of the idea. You are adopted into the lineal descent or the family line of God. And so that's part of the to be begotten. We are begotten by God. Mm-hmm. Not only being adopted or redeemed back into that family line, but obviously, we were created first and foremost.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where our little slogan then also, just because it's good play on words, have you gotten, to be gotten.
Have you gotten, to be gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like things like that.
It's a good one. We have a few taglines. Yes. And obviously there's quite a lot that goes into that, and we may talk more and more about, why to be gotten.
Yeah, there's multiple verses that have gone into it. Like being co-heirs with Christ is one of them that pops into mind.
The story of the lost sheep.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are to be gotten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Christ. Yeah. One of our line of shirts is just our logo shirt, and it'll have our main logo, which is a cross with a thumbprint overlaid. And at the foot of the cross is a root system, kind of playing into the idea of the lineal descent or the family tree of Christ, the cross, and our identity being related to that. Because at the end of the day, if we identify as in the family of God, then that means we have some responsibilities. Because it's just like in our family, there are certain things that we do or don't do. And so our kids are expected to hold up the family standard. We're teaching them, helping them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's work for us to hold up the standard too.
It's hard to do when they're toddlers as well.
Very hard.
And no one slept for days.
Yeah. All right, so as we go into this podcast, we're going to try to organize it in such a manner that makes sense, right? So we're going to try to do podcasts along topic lines. For example, masculinity will be a whole line of podcasts. Femininity, right? That's also a very interesting, deep topic. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that'll be part of the masculinity because it really ties in, or maybe it should be separate. I don't know.
That's where it's going to get hard with the structure. Is like we're going to try our hardest to make it make sense and to flow together, but at the same time, it feels like all of the topics are tied together into one big topic. And so how do you chop something up that's been years of study into bite-sized little bits?
Yeah.
So.
But we'll do our best.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll also talk about topics, salvation topics, justification, sanctification. What else?
Where tradition's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, so stay tuned.
How you've been lied to.
Yeah, we'll try to organize it in nice ways so that I don't know exactly how we'll do it. But you should be able to somehow listen to one podcast and then find the next podcast in that topic and listen to that one, etc. Yeah, and then with the shirts, like we were talking about, the whole idea is that there is a graphic of some kind that
sparks
conversation about a particular topic, oftentimes controversial topics.
Right. And something that we have covered, hopefully we'll have a podcast to go with the shirt.
Yeah.
And then also built into our website is the hope, as I look at Seth, because he's the one doing all of this.
It's not quite done yet. It's in the works.
Yes, but hopefully we'll have some sort of like QR code or a way to reference the shirt back to one spot where not only will you find our podcast that's relevant, but also the scriptures. And, if we do a word study, having that available, rough draft notes, just to don't expect everything there, but where you can kind of refer back to and share with someone else. Or even just reference to someone else, like, hey, check out this website if you have more questions.
Yeah, so the vision is you buy a t-shirt helping us to do this, and then you wear the t-shirt, and someone goes, hey, that's a really cool shirt. I love that graphic. And then you say, oh, yeah, like I got it from ToBeGotten, or I got it from TBG. And then maybe you talk about, yeah, I got this shirt because it's the lion, it's the king shirt, and here's why, the masculinity piece, all this kind of stuff. And you can say, here's the QR code if you want to listen to the podcast, blah, blah, blah. Or even go buy the shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, theoretically, each shirt will have a single page with the podcast and the study materials and the link to buy the shirt, etc.
Right.
All the things, very easily accessible. So that's kind of the vision. Stay tuned with us as we hopefully make it happen.
Iron it all out, right.
Yes, and with that, however, ToBeGotten is not going to be a membership or anything like that. So you're not going to be a ToBeGottener, and you're not going to get your identity from us. At least, please do not,
right.
Because the whole point is we are trying to point you to Christ. We're trying to say we have found our identity in Christ in these ways. Please go find your identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't get your identity from us. Please utilize the materials. Please buy the shirt. Have you bought ToBeGotten? Yeah, that's the vision.
Yeah.
Any final notes on any of the topics, sections?
No.
No?
No closing remarks from Kai.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, I think we hit it all. It has been quite the journey to get here, but we are just trying to follow Christ wherever he may lead, and we really feel that we're called to be sitting here doing this and
Follow the Lamb whithersoever he leads.
Yep. So I hope that you join us on that journey.
All right, so stay tuned for the next podcast. Hopefully it won't be too controversial to start out with. Maybe we start easy a little bit, or maybe we just punch with the hardest controversial thing. I don't know. Find out in podcast number 2. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.